Hi, Damien from Sakura again. I just wanted to touch on something I posted about fairly recently, but it's a topic that comes up again and again in discussions with clients or in general discussions with creatives mostly. And it's about the two biggest mistakes that I see, are the two biggest issues that, if solved, would make a bigger difference to their businesses. And they are scope creep and what I would call revisions, all of which cost these businesses a lot of money and actually can be solved relatively easily and will make the biggest difference to the bottom line. So in terms of then trying to use a story to explain this, I worked in a large publishing business, and a big chunk of our work was delivering files, delivering videos to corporate clients, and they would come back and make a number of revisions to them before they went live and before they got published, etc. And what we found was that some clients were really, really good at taking one or two revisions, making clear decisions, quick decisions, getting it done and getting things released and ready to be published. And then there were other clients that the revision process took ages, took lots of personnel, lots of changes, lots of incremental changes, lots of difficult decisions being made. And what we found was that this was costing us a fortune in terms of staff costs, in terms of going back over the revisions, and having to refresh your memory 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later after the last decision or the last revision. And so it just wasn't making any sense from a financial point of view. So what we ended up doing was we fixed on a standard number of revisions, which meant that the good clients weren't impacted because they just took their 2 or 3 revisions and did it as normal. But for those clients who were a real problem and took 10, 12, 14 revisions, if they wanted 10 or 12 revisions, they paid for 8 of those because it was above the standard. Or what we tended to find was they do it in 3. So that made a huge difference because then we could close projects, move the staff onto new projects, and actually it made a big difference to the bottom line. So that's really why I say to creatives is start getting a grip on your revisions. Only allow so many changes, so many reviews of the project you're working on. And similar with scope creep, if you let clients constantly change the scope without highlighting what has changed and what that impacts in terms of the work you need to do, then they'll keep doing it. So as part of your quote process, part of your pitch process, I think you need to put some guardrails in, depending on the project or exactly what you're doing that might change, so that at least when the scope changes, you recognize the change, but also you're making the client clear that there's a change in the scope, and this will add additional time, additional work, additional review of work that you've already done. And so if you can get a grip on those, and it's not easy, but if you can get a grip on those, they're the 2 biggest bugbears that most creatives have. And it's also the 2 areas that if you get them operating more smoothly, will make your